So I believe there are four categories of customers based on customers' own understanding of their need and the solution. So for example, what is the category one? Category one is when the client knows what is my need and client also knows what is the solution. That means this is the time when the client will reach out to the seller saying कि मुझे ये product चाहिए, ये solution चाहिए, and the client is clear. In a way, is treating seller more like a chemist. In category two, client is clear about his or her need, but not necessarily what solution he or she needs. So this is what the client is clear. Okay, this is my problem and I need to take a solution, but what could be the solution? Slightly unclear or slightly, and there is ambiguity around it. Category 3 customer. Now third category, this is where the client is ready for the change. There is a pain in his or her world, or there is a aspiration in his or her world which is making the customer ready. However, the customer is not able to articulate the need, but actually he is ready for the change. Now, category 4 customer. Category 4 customer is when the client has a pain, problem, concern, issue, hassle, you name whatever you feel like. So customer is a pain, problem, seller might have a solution, but the customer does not have a requirement. That means client says, okay, I understand I've got a problem in my world, but I can live with this problem. I've got other priorities, or this is not my requirement. So that's a category 4 customer. In sales lingo, I call that customer is having an implicit need, not the explicit need. So these are like a 4 category of customers. So in the first category, definitely customer is decided, okay, I need the solution. Second category also, the customer actually is ready for the solution because the client is clear about his or her need. Now the third category, this is where I call it as the first two categories like a batting on a batting pitch. Third category onwards, like third and fourth category is like a batting on a bowling pitch. And this is where the strength of the sales guy comes. This is where the techniques of a sales guy comes out, right? Third category, client actually is ready for the change, but client is not able to articulate the need. The client will not have much understanding of the solution. And this is where I have seen a lot of sales guys, yaar customer time pass kar raha hai. And saying about, client doesn't know actually what she wants and he's just wasting our time. But actually the customer is ready for change. And the fourth category, client actually is not interested to know the solution because the customer is a pain problem but not necessarily a requirement. So actually the customer is not very keen to know about the solution itself. Right? The bargaining power, category 1 customer, bargaining power is with the customer. Because the client is clear about the need, clear about the solution. In his mind, unknowingly, customer is treating the seller as a chemist. Okay, तो हम chemist को क्या बोलते हैं कि मुझे ये prescription है, please give me the medicine, and then at times we ask how much discount you will give. So in the category 1, it is predominantly about price or the delivery timelines. Category 2 also, when the client actually is clear about the need, okay, and is exploring different options. So the bargaining power is normally towards the customer, right? In category 3, where the customer is ready for change but cannot articulate the need, this is where the bargaining power tilts or can tilt toward the seller, provided the seller is a consultative seller, provided the seller is able to help the customer define the problem. But I have seen normal, average, inexperienced sellers, they usually cannot take category 3 discussion forward. It's like again that cricketing lingo, right? Batting pitch पे तो हर कोई रन बना लेता है. Okay, if you are really good, Australia, South Africa, England की bouncy pitch पे आप रन बना के बताओ. And category 3 and category 4 customers are like batting on bowling pitches. And so again, I'll say that it typically could tilt towards the consultative seller, but average or inexperienced sellers will find it difficult to even take that discussion forward. And category 4, where the client has a pain problem but not a requirement, it can again tilt toward the seller, provided the seller knows how to navigate, manage that conversation. But again, same thing, average inexperienced sellers, they'll find it very difficult to even take that discussion forward to the next stage. So category one is very clear. The normal scenario, sales guy is actually entering at negotiation stage, or typically at a proposal stage, and it quickly moves to a negotiation stage. Second category, where the client is clear about the need but not has some understanding of the solution, the seller actually enters at an evaluation of option stage. Third category, the seller actually is entering at a customer's problem definition stage. And the fourth category, the seller is entering the sales cycle at customer where the customer is at a status quo stage or at a trigger stage, but it has still not reached to a problem definition stage. Client is still at status quo. So normal scenario, category one customer, the sales guy's value is low because it is normally a transactional relationship. Because the client knows what she wants. Okay, the client says, boss, मुझे मत सिखाओ, मुझे पता है, मुझे ये चाहिए. Okay, and the seller predominantly is like an order taker for the customer. Now, the category two, now it depends on the salesperson. Because here the client is in touch with multiple vendors because the client is at evaluation of option stage. So if a typical average seller, then he will just respond to the client's need. It's like just responding to the RFP. Okay, he's not exceeding the expectation, then possibility of adding value would be low, but depends on the seller, right? Category three, I would say this is a great scenario. If for a great sellers, the category 3 and 4 are the super customers, right? Because the client will develop a clear preference for a clear favorite vendor for that seller who's helping the customer define the problem. Yeah, if whichever the seller is able to help the customer define the problem, client will have a liking towards that salesperson. Right? So basically a seller with a consultative mindset obviously will have an edge. He'll be able to add a lot of value. And the same for the category 4. Category 4 customer, I have seen the average hardworking sales guys, average inexperienced sellers, they just try to pitch the solution. But the client has a problem, hassle, issue, but not a requirement. And I've seen a seller with a consultative skill sets will be able to ask insightful question to take the customer who's at implicit need stage to the next stage, which is explicit need.